First of all, you don't know me.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queens, smart girl, rough girl, fashion but you're tough girl. You could sit with us, girl. Drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens.
Welcome back, friends. We are about to get into season 6, episode 5. You've dug your own grave. Now lie in it. Originally aired September 29th, 2008. An incompatible date in a promotion tour for his book forces Lucas to tell Lindsay he's getting married to Peyton. Oh boy, what a full-blown, just soap opera sentence. Nathan receives an offer from a pro basketball team. Brooke struggles with giving up her company to Victoria, while Peyton discovers a dark secret about her new recording artist. Haley unwittingly puts Jamie's life in peril when she thinks Dan is on his deathbed, which leads to a final showdown with Nanny Carey.
Dun, dun, dun.
This episode, dun, 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 this was wild.
Nonstop.
A wild time. And friends, we have one of our pals here to discuss said wild time with us, none other than the incredible Ashley Rickards, who played Sam.
Hello.
Hello.
What a crazy episode.
Truly.
Did you, when you got this script, this is like your first script where you have a bunch of material. Did you get the script and you're like, what the hell did I just sign up for? This show is bananas.
Yeah. Normally before I do something, I like to be caught up, but y'all were in season 6. So there was no way I could do that in 48 hours, which is, I think, how long I had till I was in Wilmington.
Wow.
From Don Kugos in Burbank, which is where I kind of found out I was getting the role. But yeah, so I was reading the script like, I don't know who any of these people are or why people are. It seems important and scary. So I'll go with that. It was pretty clear that Victoria was Sophia's mom. And that sucks that her store basically got, I think, essentially stolen.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And by the way, side note, you and Hilarie, looking back, I'm like, they have the sexiest voices. They're just so, I don't know. It's just, I was like, wow, should I start doing that? Maybe there's a lesson there. But yeah, it was definitely a wild read.
I thought it was crazy. And I was, I've been doing the show for 6 years so far. And that was really nuts to get this thing. And I'm going, we're running through a cornfield. We're beyond Misery now. This is Stephen King's Misery. We're in total horror movie.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand what the correlation was, why we were doing it. It must have aired around Halloween, right?
Yeah, probably.
September 29, a month before. All right.
Yeah, I think what's sort of interesting to me looking back on it and what you're referencing is, in a way, it's like a spoof of a horror movie, like Dan doing the "I hate the woods" and Nanny Carey popping back up at the end, and all these things that are so they're sort of campy. It's not taking itself too seriously. It's being extra ridiculous for the sake of ridiculously.
Yes.
But then you have these very real things happening where Peyton's dealing with, is this or isn't my dad? Mick is, losing a year of sobriety. Ashley, you're playing Sam, who is a houseless teen, and Brooke's in therapy dealing with her maternal trauma. And then you've got axe murder and cornfields. And I was like, I know I've said this before after certain episodes, but I was like, I feel like I have a whiplash. I don't know which way I'm looking, and I don't know if I'm doing Parenthood or if I'm doing an axe murderer movie. Like what is this?
Yeah, like Nathan's out on the basketball court, like thinking he's going to get to play again, but they really just want him to coach. Lucas is having this Lucas is having this very real struggle with how to tell his ex-fiance that she was right all along and he actually is going to marry the girl that he was in love with all this time. And it's so, that's the stuff that the show is built on, like all the very real, raw, personal moments. And then Dan's in a hospital gown shooting a woman in the stomach. It's just so confusing to me. It's just really, really confusing.
So something that is actually interesting, because you were just talking about voices, Ash, is I noticed that the top of this episode, the voiceover trades from each character to each character over their little eighth of a page scene in the montage, like the opening montage. And we were talking, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, about how cool it was that in your first episode, even before we've met Sam, you're doing the voiceover. And at the end of the episode, we find out it's the essay that you wrote about Quentin. And I don't know exactly what it is yet, but I'm noticing these changes that they're making to how our voiceovers work. And I don't know, I find it interesting. And I thought it was very cool that every character was telling their little bit of a story.
Yeah, I thought it just all came back to the same, theme of, well, one was like a super violent way to tell the theme of like family and not feeling alone is so important. And if you don't have family, you can define that with friends, but it's the point of not being alone and independence and what really matters in life. What makes you say, I was here, I did something great. Like what is that? And, with Brooke, she's at this place where it's like, what, especially in the therapist's office, it's like, what have I really accomplished? Was this door something that keeps me kind of, is this enough? Or did I just spend so much time working? And you talk about being jealous of not being like insecure or afraid of Sam, but being jealous because she doesn't have anyone to answer to. But I think later you find out or come to feel and realize that Sam and Brooke are very similar in the sense that like they're both kind of on their own and figuring out what their value is. I think that maybe, Brooke is wondering how long or if what she did will matter and how long that impact will last. And I think on the other end of the spectrum, Sam is wondering how long this chapter of her life is gonna last. So it's an interesting parallel, and I thought it was nice, and it was nice to see kind of the build of where it would go with those two, and their how similar they were, even though they were very different.
Yeah. I think we've all, especially as just grown women, we've all had to learn how to parent ourselves in different spaces in our lives. And, there's the cliche of like the inner child work, but it's true. There's always parts of ourselves that we get to go back and explore and tend to. And I love seeing Brooke having this opportunity, Brooke who wants to be a mom and she's taken strides in that direction, being offered this opportunity to revisit the part of herself that felt abandoned and left on the side of the road and left just to fend for herself. And not only is she getting to heal herself, but she's actually going to be able to help another person at that actual age heal. It's really a beautiful, it's a beautiful connectivity that they weaved here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that we have to do it together, you and I, because something that hit me when we had that scene in the Dixie Grill you know, when you buy me my coffee and then you're like, it's your money anyway, you know, but I thought it was really interesting that these two women are having a really important conversation, but from behind their own walls. Like neither of us is willing to be vulnerable enough to say what we mean. But you feed me the line about your mom and your curfew, despite being this motherless child. And I don't quite have the courage yet to say what I really want to say about my own lack of a mother figure or ever having been mothered. So I hide behind like, pretty lucky to have a mom who cares about you know, and I think we both know neither of us is telling the truth, but neither of us knows what to say. Yeah. And then you leave and it's like, I love that in a way it's their wounds that see each other first.
I mean, I don't even, as I recall, I don't think Sam ever really looks at Brooke, makes eye contact. And if it is, it's brief in that scene. But yeah, what you said about their wounds seeing each other first that's a beautiful way to put it. That's a beautiful way to put it. It is what was happening in that moment. Sort of their walls connecting.
That's so normal life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of, you know, chronologically, do we go through because it does bounce all over the place. So if we start with another thing that I've really loved was, as I mentioned before, Nathan going into thinking he's going to go play basketball and the thrill of the whole family being so excited, like, wow, dreams are still coming true.
Yeah.
And after the blow of Quentin's death, and now feeling like Dan is dying, there's just so much happening for this family. And again, to see him show up somewhere and realize that it's not what he thought it was. The dream still may not happen. Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting, like the theme of in this episode of dreams, possible dreams popping up and then fading away, or the full loss of a dream, like Lindsay with Lucas. Like she was pushing him away the whole time, but still, now it's the nails really in the coffin. Like it's really over. Brooke losing her business. Even Carrie losing this plan that she'd had all along to get what her dream was, even though we all see it for what it was. There's still so many dreams just being put out on the table, and everyone's trying to find a way to pick it up, or looking at it and going, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. Sorry, I don't mean to be talking in circles. It's just kind of coming to me as I think about this episode. But I did like that. I thought that was well done.
Yeah.
And it's stuff that you don't think about too hard. I think that's the marker of something that's been well written. Bill Brown wrote this episode. When you get to see all these themes kind of come to the surface, the more you process it. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that moment where Lucas tells Lindsay, kind of out of force, because he's like, I don't know, I'm going to tell her. And, you know, she's like, what's so important about this date? And he's like, my wedding. Your heart just breaks. Your heart just breaks for her. Yeah.
You know what I loved, though? And maybe it's because we've all had our fair share, you know, over the years on the show of having to do really overly emotional, kind of soapy things where people pitch fits about, you know, whatever emotional love triangle they're in at the time. I loved that they allowed them to have a gentle landing as two characters, because they'd had the blow-ups and they'd had the, you know, runaway bride moment. I just really loved that they gave it so much authenticity, where she got to say, I always knew. I was in denial. That was bad for me and bad for you.
Yep.
Like, when we think about this idea of, you know, how we get to reparent ourselves, like that is such a mature moment for someone to be like, yeah, it was never right. It wasn't working for us. Like, go find where it works for you. And I was like, wow, I just don't feel like I've seen that modeled a lot on shows like this. because they always want the drama moment. And I loved that Lucas and Lindsay, they certainly got the drama moment with like, what's more important than Chicago? My wedding. It was like, whoa. They got it. But then they gave us something that, I don't know, as a viewer, I felt like it was really refreshing, kind.
Yeah, and like you can just see, it might seem like it's, settled, but you can still see the heartbreak behind her. And she got to really, bury that deep inside her, not like be asked to just, like you were saying, to your point, sort of overdo it acting wise. She just got to play the truth and how we would actually probably feel in real life, or how we would project and act in real life.
It's always so hard. It's so hard to put a dream down. Even though it's not right, there's always like this, especially with Lucas pursuing Lindsay for as long as he did after she left the altar. It's, it felt that got me. I'm trying to think about moments in life when you pick up a dream and then you have to put it back down because you realize it's not what you thought it was, or you realize like maybe you actually don't even want it anymore, but there's still a loss. I love that about our show. I love that we hit those very real moments.
Really good, yeah.
And Peyton picking up this dream of her dad. That's so interesting too.
And it's so sweet and gentle, and it's such a nice. We talked about this I guess it would have been a couple months ago now. What is time? But just for reference, Ashley, like we were talking about how Peyton and Lucas getting back together has been so fun for us all to watch because we get to see Peyton be so happy.
Yeah.
And in this, I felt like we got this other layer, almost like another layer was peeled back. And we keep getting to see her as this younger version of her, like the teenager in her coming out.
Yeah.
And instead of being, salty, stalking around the high school, like, sassing people, she's vulnerable and excited and hopeful and
nurturing the child inside of herself.
Yeah, she wants to find this missing piece of herself, and it's so pure. And I love watching Hilarie play this version of Peyton.
Me too. Yeah.
I mean, it's heartbreaking when she's having that scene where, oh my God, where she's, why don't you come over for dinner tonight? And you can clearly tell that she knows that that's her father. And at the same time, hopes that he'll come, but kind of has an idea that he won't. And that is another dream being put down that I don't think anyone's ever ready for that, to essentially re-lose a parent.
Oh, and Peyton's been through so much already.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that that's what I love about her character. She just keeps being willing to open back up and see what is coming next, see what's, maybe this time. One thing, it's funny what you're saying, Soph, about Hilarie playing the character this way, because we don't get to see Peyton soft and vulnerable very often at all. We haven't throughout the years. And the first thing I thought when I saw Sam for the first time, after having not watched the show for so many years, was, you're sitting in the back with all of your goth clothes or whatever, like hardcore punk clothes, and your backpack says, and it's got the anarchy symbol on it. And it was so Peyton in high school. It's really fun to see. It's really fun to see Sam echoing those same sentiments. And then we also get to see who she maybe turns into in the echo of Peyton years later, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, when you were brought on the show, were you modeling your character after anyone? Did you feel like you knew that there was a parallel with Peyton, or were you just completely flying blind? What was your intro and setup there?
More so a little bit. Well, I knew that as an actor that like the feedback is, oh, you're edgy. Oh, you're edgy. But like I constantly tried to play against that in my career. And what ended up happening was some sort of weird 14-year-old wearing like J. Crew and Ann Taylor. And like, I don't know why. I was super
On our
preppy.
show.
No. Like in my real life, I was trying to overcompensate for the natural sort of edginess that I have.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, because I was like, I don't remember you being in Banana Republic.
No.
Okay.
I felt way more comfortable as Sam than I felt at that time in my own life. And so I actually got to be myself, but also learn about myself through Sam. And thank God, get a better sense of style. Even if Sam's style was like, meh, it still was a lot better than what I was doing. And it kind of introduced me into, having style that expresses you. And I love.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I'll forever love and thank your show for that.
Giving you the permission to just do what you felt like you actually wanted to do. Yeah.
And yeah, Sam just, she was very like punk, I would say grunge, but
yeah,
I mean, it was so fun there. I would later realize that you can take clothes home from wardrobe if you ask and make sure that you're done with that scene. And I wish I had done that more on the show.
Oh, yeah.
At all.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, they did not allow that on our show. They would charge you if you
Sophia's got the receipts to prove it.
Yeah. Well, and what was really funny is when we wrapped, there was like a major wardrobe raid, and like there were some people who took some of Brooke's clothes because they were a vibe, but like I'd warned them I didn't want them. And they tried to bill me for all of them. And I was like, I don't have all of that. I have like these 10 things that I will pay you for because they're sentimental and I want to keep them. But like, you got to figure out where the rest of it went. Sorry. It was wild. Warner Brothers was very much, they were on those balance sheets.
Well, they knew what they had. They knew One Tree Hill was such a hit. They were like, we can't get rid of any of this stuff. What happens if that shirt becomes iconic and we have to, put it in a museum one day?
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, I can. Because by the way, I just went to New York and did the Harry Potter tour and the Friends tour, where it's like the whole setup is everywhere. You walk into a huge building in New York City and it's the whole Friends set, all the costumes, all these props, all these great, and you go do a tour through the whole building and it's all these iconic moments from the show and you walk through. I'm like, how is there not a One Tree Hill experience out there? Like a real, it would do so well.
Oh my gosh, I know. But now we all have to be involved in that because it was our idea.
Absolutely.
You heard it here first.
We should.
We had these one bands, and I guess One Tree Hill is pretty popular in France.
Yeah.
So we had I mean, I've never been to Paris. I've never been there this time. And like, someone brings me like a little Eiffel Tower keychain. I was like, oh, this was in France. Like, this is so cool. It's crazy how much the reach is on the show. Yeah, you would think it would do extremely well, one of those tours.
Yeah. Well, there was that group of girls who would always come from France on their spring break. And I think the third year, Ashley, we were like, guys, you're lovely, but you have to want to go somewhere else. Like, you want to go to like New York, see a Broadway show, go to LA, like hike the Hollywood sign. Yeah, go see the Grand Canyon. And they were like, no.
We just want to see you.
We just want to hang out in Wilmington. And we were like, oh, I mean, okay.
I promise the Grand Canyon is better. I promise.
Yeah.
I was like, it's really like magical. You should probably go.
So sweet.
It
But
was
yeah,
so
it's
sweet.
true. I know. We just have to find a way to put one of those things together.
Well, isn't it funny though that even, I mean, when we think about reach, right, and the sort of personal relationships that like our audience formed with this show, sometimes it's easy to be like, really? Us? Why? And then even in an insane episode like this, we're like, oh my God, is this all about people's maternal wounds?
Like the
is
whole
that what
thing.
this episode is about?
Yes.
And we're like, oh,
yes.
Yeah, you go like, oh, I get it. It actually is really saying something as ridiculous as like, I hate the woods.
Or Deb.
Feels.
I guess there's more than one crazy nanny in this town.
Yeah.
Deb with the champagne bottle, like full slow clap. I was like, honestly, Barbara, you are an icon. And it was just a full clothesline, like such a good hit.
But then you had this great moment where you pull Jamie out of the cornfield, which is such classic horror stuff. And you're like, shh. And everyone's like, oh my gosh. Then your phone goes off. And that's just, when you say, you're like, run. It just comes from, it's good though. I loved it. I loved it.
That's the name of this episode, Mommy Issues, because every moment of this episode has something to do with even Peyton, because it's all about Ellie. Tell me everything about my mom. Yeah. Dad
wants to know everything about her. By the way, think about Jamie's childhood trauma. Nanny Carrie is at the window going, I'm your mommy now. My God. Like, what? Growling at him. I'm like, he's 5. What are we doing? And she goes and gets an axe. Like, it is so level 10 crazy, but works. Like, Tori committed hard, and she's so
and her
good.
Mommy issues in this too. That day was so awful in the cornfield. It was hot.
Why?
And it was so hot, and it was buggy. There were just so many bugs, and we were in shorts and tank tops. And it was just a yucky, and the corn was so itchy. Every time you would run through it, it's like, know, the mites or whatever. I felt like they were just getting in my skin. Ooh. It was truly a miserable day on the cornfield. I was so happy when that day was over.
It just looked like the setups were hard, even. Like, that must have taken so long, because you both are fully running, and there's probably a camera on track running. Or was it Steadicam? I don't know.
I really don't remember. It
just seems like a lot of it would have been sitting around probably in that sticky weather with a fan.
Yeah. Yeah, it was gross. I mean, we had fun in the sense that the group of us that were there, it was a fun group. Like me, Tori, Barbara and Paul, plus Jackson's mom, Jody, we all got on really well. So it was a fun, and John Asher was always a good time. So it was a fun group, and that definitely made it go by better. But I wouldn't want to live that day again.
Yeah.
No.
I remember watching this episode last night in advance of us all getting together today. Watching you guys run through that corn, I was like, I wonder if they had Tim out looking for snakes.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
I was just thinking about like the snake clearance that needs to happen. Like, I was like, who walked through there with a rake and made sure there weren't like giant spider webs? It was a no for me, dog. I was like, I just don't. No, I don't want to do that. I have no desire to do that. I made a horror movie once. It almost killed me. I loved it, and it was hard. And there was no corn.
But yours that was tough too. That sounded way worse.
I think the only reason I know how gross it is in there is because we used to do these amazing service projects every year with my high school, and there was a year we went to one of the big corn farms just outside of LA, and even though it had been picked clean for the harvest, there's still so much good produce out, on the plants. And so we would sign up to do these volunteer days where we'd go in and we'd pick all the extra corn that we could, and it would all go to food pantries around LA, like super cool thing, for middle schoolers and high schoolers to get involved in. And I shudder when I think about like the bugs and the snakes and the things that were out there. And so maybe that's why I just like deep from in my bones, I'm like, I know how buggy it is there.
Nope.
No.
I just texted Paul to see if he had any great cornfield day stories. We'll see if he gets back to me. Yeah, he's got such a good memory. I do not.
Well, he's lucky he didn't have to go out there with you guys.
He was there.
Yeah, but I just mean he wasn't
you're
out
right.
in the corn.
Yeah,
he was
that's true.
In the house.
Yeah.
Paul was so great. I loved working with him. He was so nice.
He loved working with you too. I know he loved directing you because you were just so easy to, you just dove in. You didn't have a lot of the baggage of actor baggage, when you've gone to the classes for years and years and years and you've been taught. Even sometimes you can see people who've gone to Juilliard or something, you kind of watch the footprints of their rehearsal all over their performance because it feels so stiff and structured, and like they've made very meticulous plans about what they're going to do, which sometimes really works. But I think what what I know he loved and what I really love about your work, Ashley, is that you always feel very spontaneous and in the moment and just kind of connect. Not that you don't rehearse, I'm sure you do, but the preparation gets to take a seat. You've done all your work, and so when you show up, you just get to respond.
Oh, well, that's super flattering. But I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, he just texted me back, by the way. Let's see. Okay, this is what Paul says. I remember constantly apologizing to Tori, saying things like, "I won't point the gun at you," and "Are you comfortable with me holding a gun?" and "Do you want to shoot me first?" Oh God. Yes, because that was back. Oh, that was in the time when there was
where was the
everything was
training.
different. Yeah. Thank God he knew how to handle all that. But yeah, there was just so much of that on the show this season. I'm glad we're transitioning out of that. It's a lot. I know we need to get. I'm sure there's got to be cornfield stories. I'll ask Tori and Barbara too, because man.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm also just desperate to know who picks the drug filter. Nanny Carey gives Dan the injection and is like, "You're going to be behaved for me when you're showing up with Jamie," and then it cuts to they made it look like the edges of the TV were like an eyeball.
Oh, yeah.
And then he could only see through and you know what I mean? And I'm watching it going, who designs these? Who's the person who picks this will be the drug filter for the lens when we're looking at Nanny Carey when she's giving him the morphine. And I'm just like, this is so silly. I wish it was just maybe going a little more in and out of focus.
Yeah.
But the eyeball on the... I was sobbing laughing, you guys. I was like, I can't.
It's pretty great.
We got to go outside. I cannot with this.
Our show became the experimental place. I feel like there were so many people who came in to direct who were never directors that were just sort of like, "Hey, that sounds fun. I want to direct something." Everybody was like, "Go do One Tree Hill." You're just like, why are you experimenting on us? We are showing up and doing really good work. Most of the time it turned out okay. But yeah, there were things like that where it was just like, I don't know, let's see what happens. Let's put a fisheye lens on this. Yeah. Why not?
I wish I had worked with Stephen Coletti.
Oh, yeah?
Because I grew up watching Laguna Beach. So I was a teenager. He was in his 20s, but I had the biggest crush on him.
You did?
Yeah.
Wait, does he know any of this?
Well, when we went to the convention and we were both in our 20s, so he knows who I am.
No, he's a sweetheart. You guys would have had fun. I know.
Well, I die for this.
You didn't quite overlap. Yeah. That would have been fun.
Well, I have no idea where Sam and him, why would they be in any scene together?
Yeah.
Listen, we'd have done crazier things on that show, so we can give you a fantasy Sam Chase storyline. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, there probably would have been an all ages night at Trick, and then we'd have to find out that you were secretly 18 or something, and
that's it.
Actually, thinking about it being our show, probably not, but who knows? They would have probably found a way.
Ash, how many episodes did you do with us?
Off the top of my head, 6 to 10, somewhere in there.
Okay, yeah. Isn't it funny? It's such a testament. 19 episodes.
Oh, I did 19. Whoa.
19. I was going to say. It's amazing, though. It's such a testament to the bonding that happened and how it felt being down in Wilmington. I mean, to do 22 episodes of 6 seasons or 10 seasons, as far as we went, there were people that came in only even for 6 episodes here or there or, 19 or 20. But it all, even Robbie Jones, who played Quentin for 5 or 6 episodes, and the impact that it had, it's just amazing to me that we shot so much, but you guys just made such a big impact. That's all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It did feel like I'd spent longer than 6 episodes in Wilmington now that I think about it.
Yeah. But 19. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you really were with us for a pretty full season.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really liked the device. I remember getting these initial scripts at the start of season 6 and, finding out from the writers what our storyline was going to be and thinking it was a really cool choice because last season, Brooke had essentially been testing out being a foster parent by housing a kid who needed to have heart surgery, who had come in to the States for a pro bono program from another country. And I loved that they found a way for us to connect. Like you were saying, Joy, at the age where Brooke's, big sort of wound with her parents is when they moved away and let her live with Lucas and Karen. Sam comes into the picture, and I just think it's so cool the way we see each other and where our storyline goes. And it's not lost on me reflecting on it, that it's also really when Brooke is getting so honest about her life in therapy. We're in these weekly sessions. You see this girl taking charge of her mental health. Also, Joy, did you faint when Brooke calls out the device you hate the most? When I ask the therapist a question and then she poses it back to me and I go, do you always answer a question with another question? Does it bother you? I know.
Does it bother you? Yeah.
But it's
annoying.
Just so funny because it drives Joy so crazy. And I was like, oh, there she goes. But I just love that there's this opportunity to be honest about transition. And she says, it felt so good giving the company away. And now I feel really empty because really work has been Brooke's identity. And then the therapist asks her about that. Yeah. She says, all you ever do is talk about your work. But when you talk about your friends, you talk about friendships and family and romance and all these things. And I wrote down that quote, why are you so insistent on going through life alone?
Yeah.
And it's, such a vestige of childhood trauma is to choose to be like such a ferocious individual and to never need help and to never ask for help. And I don't know, it's sort of wild to me, at this point in my life, having done it, all of the therapy that I've done and, being in this sort of stage of self-knowledge to go, wow, we were talking about this on TV a long time ago. I'm really heartened by that. I don't know. I feel like it wasn't so common. Did you guys talk about mental health or any of those things when you were doing Awkward?
Well, the show opens with like everyone thinks that Jenna tried to kill herself, but it was just a super unfortunate accident. She was just taking aspirin, slipped, the hairdryer went into the bath, the box of razors flew everywhere, and then she broke her arm and like twisted her neck. So like that's the last thing she remembers, and she wakes up in this like horrible cast, and everyone in a very comedic way is like treating her gently. And then you get to high school and they're like, oh, that's the girl who tried to kill herself. But it did touch on mental health in a couple episodes. But it was there's this one episode where Sadie, Molly Charlove's character, is she's like looking in the mirror and she's making jokes about her appearance, but she's crying through it. And that's just that character in a nutshell. Her character was so complex, really deeply rooted in, body image issues, which is so prevalent now and so important for her character to be on and do the work that she did, because she showed that she was a bully, but she was funny, and given half a chance to be let, open up, she would. And, so we touched on it with that. And,
that's cool.
Yeah.
I just think it's so cool that, sometimes as actors, we get to do these things that when you look back, like that storyline you're talking about with you and Molly, or this one, for my character that wound up leading to our character's relationship. I love when you see something and you go, wow, that feels timeless. That feels important.
Yeah.
Like there's a bit of the monologue I give to the therapist in this episode. The bit about watching all my friends move on with their lives. They're moving forward and I'm stuck here. And a couple of months ago, it was trending on TikTok. And like, when I tell you, one of my friends sent it to me and was like, do you know about this? And I was like, I'm on TikTok like once a month, so no. Unless my friends like send me memes that then I think are hilarious. And then I wind up sending memes to 40 other people, like talk about an ADHD hole. Like, oh my God, I'll just be like, wait, this is so funny. Oh my God, is this why people are on this app all the time? Oh my God, I have to send you this video of you or this video of this other person that reminds me of you. Like it's so, I get lost, which is why I don't allow myself to do it.
It was a great speech though. It was such a great moment.
It's such a good speech. And the audio got used by all of these women who were talking about like chronic health issues or cancer diagnoses or leaving abusive relationships. And I spent like 3 hours on TikTok one night just watching all of these videos these people made with that audio from this Brooke Davis therapy session, just like sobbing into a box of tissues. I was like, everyone's really amazing. And I'm just glad people are taking care of themselves. And it's wild to see that like in 2023 hit for people in this way. Yeah. It's like, sometimes we have to do ridiculous things on camera, but sometimes we get to do things that are really, really special.
And important and made obviously a huge impact.
Yeah. I just think it's so cool.
Well, I mean, it was really great seeing it. Had me choked up a little bit. I definitely relate to it. I mean,
yeah, I did too. It was beautiful. Really well done. As much as watching therapy sessions on TV, it's just tricky to shoot that stuff. You know, at some point it's like, okay, two people talking, like, oh, how much, like, show me things rather than just explaining things. But I do really like this device in this way because also therapy is kind of a new, last like 20, 30 years, I think. Our generation's so used to it. We think it's so normal, but our parents' generation certainly isn't. For them, it's like, oh my gosh, therapy. Like, well, I'm okay. Yeah. Why would I need therapy? It's not used by the older generation as just a maintenance, like healthy. We just need to be able to talk about things sometimes, and that's okay. It's got this stigma on it of it being such a heavy deal, big problem. And I like when our show showed therapy for being something that was really normal and healthy. And I think because so many young women related to Brooke, especially, that had to have made an impact in culturally just how we started viewing ourselves and our mental process as we grow up.
Certainly made it less weird for me, but I've always loved therapy. I think I was part of that generation where it wasn't like, oh, she's in therapy. What's wrong with what's going on there? Just like, going to therapy.
Well, I think when people started to make that shift and think about it more along the lines of being the gym for your brain.
Yeah.
We're expected to take care of ourselves physically, stave off heart disease and keep your cholesterol low and all the things that are like on the commercials for whatever heart medication comes on every time we're watching like a sports game. And eventually I think when people started to talk about, okay, well, if you're going to take care of your body, why wouldn't you take care of your mind? That's really the most important part of you. I think that really helped destigmatize it. Like you're saying, rather than thinking, oh, something's wrong with this person. It's like, oh, I actually love that you're in therapy. It's like a prerequisite for me if I'm going to date somebody. I'm like, who's your therapist?
Yeah.
How's your relationship? Like, what's the deal? How long have you been going?
How long have you been going? I was going to say,
because like if you're not in therapy, it's a no for me.
How
dog.
long have you been working? That's perfect. So true. Yeah. Ashley, you wrote a book, didn't you? Write a book on mental health and
it was like a self-help book.
Yes.
It was fun. And there's a lot of good advice in there. I will say it is a self-help book written by a 21-year-old.
Look, everybody's got different stages of awareness of what they experience. I mean, I'm sure you had plenty to offer.
Yeah, I think I did. Looking back, some of the things were like really ridiculous. But you know what? I also I'll stand by this forever. I gave really good tips on how to trim your own bangs. I know how to do it. I know how to do it. And it's never failed. Like when I was on The Flash recently, they're like, we need to trim your bangs. I was like, nope, I do that. And they're like, we don't trust you. And I was like, well, no, it's fine.
You're like, here's the thing. You're a stranger to me. I don't trust you. I know my face.
Yep.
If you've been doing it for a long time, you're the pro.
But to piggyback on that, I don't think something I learned definitely from watching One Tree Hill back is like, you may have known your face for however many years, but they're the professionals who can look at your face for 5 minutes and know and do everything better than you ever could. And like, I mean, sure, there's some times where you're like, oh, that can't be right. That can't be it. I got a stylist once for I don't know what it was, the VMAs or something. And he brought clothes that I think that they were just like somehow like S&M couture. Like it was like, I know this is like a young people thing, but like that cannot be right.
This can't be right.
Goodness. This can't be for me.
Yeah.
Maybe for someone else, but not for me.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool when you have ownership of whatever trait. Like, to your point, I can't do my makeup the way professionals do. People are always like, what tricks have you learned? And I'm like, nothing. Because I'm like, my brain is bopping around in the chair. I'm on Instagram or like reading
lines in a chair.
Yeah, we're running our lines all morning.
Yeah.
Like that's what we're doing. But like the way you feel about your bangs is the way I feel about my eyebrows. I don't let anyone touch them. I'm like, no, I do that.
Same.
You can do everything
Same.
else, but I do those. Don't come near them. So it's kind of cool that you feel that way about your bangs. I wouldn't trust myself to trim bangs, but the 2 times in my life I've cut them, it's just been not a good idea for me. So maybe that's why. But like for you, they really are so cool and cute. And if you are the president of the bangs, I can get behind that.
The president of the bangs.
She's like, this is
I mean, it depends what length you're going. If I'm going curly, yeah. Well, oh gosh, but once somebody can do your eyeliner right, I'll just go for it. Although I get creeped out when they do the waterline.
Oh yeah, the waterline.
I can't. I don't know anybody who like you can't screw it up, but like it's also trippy to have somebody that close to your eyeball.
Yeah, that's another one you might want to do yourself.
Yeah.
Well, usually there is heavy eyeliner involved in female TV villains. So we should transition to our fan question here to start wrapping up the episode. This is from Max, who is asking, who do you think is the worst villain this season? Nanny Carey or Victoria?
I say Victoria because it's more insidious.
I do. I agree.
Ooh, I love that. I was about to say, I mean, Victoria is certainly an emotional villain, but she's not a murderer. But maybe emotional villainy is worse. I don't know.
Yeah, it's emotional abuse.
Yeah, it's more long-lasting trauma. Like Carrie's psychotic and crazy, but she's not to me, that's not a mark of a true villain. She's just She's
just kind of a
villain
sick.
Is
she's
much
just
more
a sick
pathological.
person.
Is much more,
but a villain is much more pathological. Is much more
just a long
calculated and
abuse,
has just a long history of abuse. And manipulation. And I would definitely put that award in Victoria's
Well, we
lap.
solved that problem.
Mm-hmm. Easy peasy.
I like that answer.
Same.
Well, we solved that problem.
Co-sign it.
Easy peasy.
Done. I like that answer. Just co-sign it. Done.
Should we spin a wheel, guys?
We got to spin a wheel.
And we do an honorable mention, Ashley. So every episode of Drama Queens, we have a wheel that spins like in your high school yearbook, most likely too. So here we go. You can read this one.
Who Who is most likely to go on Love Island or be on The Bachelor?
Now, this is going to be most likely to from Tree Hill, the world of Tree Hill, which character, and then who in real life do you think from our show, who in real life?
On Love Island.
Love Island or The Bachelor? I mean, Deb, she's like, why is she always the answer?
I feel like, I don't mean to throw shade or anything, but I think she would be the winner of the Golden Bachelor. Like, she is so charming and beautiful. I think she could also kill it on the regular Bachelor. Yeah. She's a good looking lady.
She is. Who in real life?
In real life.
I mean, Stephen Coletti was on Laguna Beach.
Yes.
That's a good point. That's a good
point. Isn't he our answer?
No, that's a great call.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He basically did like high school Love Island.
He did. Yes.
Also, congratulations to Stephen because he just got engaged. But were he to be single, he would be such a good contestant on one of those shows.
Yes.
Because like he knows the ins and outs and he's charming and he's funny.
They need to write that into Everyone's Doing Great, their TV show on Hulu. They need to write that storyline in that he gets off, like he can't get arrested, but he gets offered a job on a reality show that he's like, oh, I don't want to take this, and then ends up going on Love Island.
I can't wait to start that group chat today and be like, so we came up with an idea.
Yes. Season 4. Everyone's doing
welcome.
Great.
Yeah.
So good.
God, I love that show.
Well, who do we have for honorable mentions today?
Oh, man.
We got to meet James's Nathan's coach. Is it not Clay? No, that's Rob. What's the guy? The guy he was talking to, he was on our show so much after this. The blonde guy.
I think it was Bobby. It was Bobby. Okay,
Bobby.
Because they introduce him. He's like Mr. whatever, and he goes, Bobby. It's just Bobby.
Bobby. It was fun to see him, although I don't know if he made enough of an impact for honorable mention. For me, probably it goes to Paul with the I Hate the Woods. Like, that was just such a great moment. He wins the episode for me.
Honestly, my honorable mention has to go to Tori because she did such an amazing job with such an insane storyline. And even the way she wakes up essentially from the dead and has to do that creepy little laugh.
That's so hard to sell.
It's so hard to sell. And she did it. And I was like, she was giving me major Anthony Hopkins, Silence of the Lambs vibes with that weird sound he would make. Like her laugh was just so weird and specific. And I was like, Tori DeVito, someone give you, she needs a trophy. I don't know which one, but she needs a trophy for this.
We should make her one. We should get her a trophy and send it to her.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
I
love
okay,
that.
so we're giving the boys a season 4 storyline for their show, and we're sending Tori a trophy. Done and done.
Love it.
You know I love a little homework.
Yes.
Ashley, thank you so much for coming to hang out with us and talk about Sam.
Joining us today, babe.
It was so fun. It was great to see you guys, and so hope to see you both soon.
It's always so good to see you.
Next episode, everybody, season 6, episode 6, Choosing My Own Way of Life. Whatever could it be?
Dun dun.
Hey, thanks for listening.
Don't forget to leave us a review. You can also follow us on Instagram at DramaQueensOTH.
Or email us at dramaqueens@iHeartRadio.com. See you next time.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queens, smart girl, rough girl, fashion but you're tough girl. You could sit with us, girl. Drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens.